My name is Ava. I was 23 years old when I moved to the small village of Willowbrook. I came from a busy city and I wanted a quiet life. I wanted a place where I could work with calm, happy children. I also wanted to learn more about myself. When I arrived in the village, everything looked simple and peaceful. The streets were small, and the houses had small gardens in front. Many people stood outside and talked with each other. They all seemed friendly, but I felt shy because I was new. I stayed in a room above a bakery. The owner was Mrs. Brown. She was kind and gentle. She welcomed me with a warm smile and showed me my room. It was small but clean. It had a bed, a desk, and one window that looked out to the street. She told me that I would smell fresh bread every morning because she started baking early. I liked that idea. It made me feel safe and at home. The next morning, I walked to the village school. It was a white building with green doors. Children were in the yard. They laughed and ran in circles. Some waved at me and I smiled back. I felt a little nervous because it was my first day as a real teacher. Inside the school, I met the head teacher, Mr. Turner. He was a tall man with gray hair and a friendly voice. He told me that everyone in the school worked together like a family. He walked with me to my classroom. It was a bright room with small desks, a blackboard, and a big window that let in a lot of light. I took a deep breath and hoped I could do a good job. My class had children from 7 to 9 years old. They looked at me with wide eyes when I entered the room. Some looked excited. Others looked shy. There was a small boy named Harry who smiled the whole time. There was a quiet girl named Rose who held her hands close to her chest. I told them my name and wrote it on the board. I used simple words because I did not want them to feel scared. They told me their names one by one, and I tried to remember them all, but it was hard on the first day. During the first week, I learned that teaching young children needed patience. Some children read well. Some could not read many words yet. One boy named Peter had a hard time with reading. He looked sad when he made mistakes. I sat with him and helped him say each sound slowly. When he finally read a full line by himself, he smiled. It was a small smile, but it meant a lot to me. It made me feel like I could be a good teacher if I worked hard. I also made mistakes. One day, I planned an art activity, but I did not bring enough paintbrushes. The children waited at their desks, and I felt embarrassed. I told them to share, but it became noisy. Some children were upset because they had to wait. After class, I sat at my desk and took a deep breath. I felt tired and unsure, but I knew this was part of learning. Mrs. Brown told me later that every new teacher made mistakes. Her words helped me feel better. Outside the classroom, I tried to learn more about Willowbrook. I walked near the river in the evening. The water moved slowly, and children played near the edge. I passed the small shops and said hello to the owners. One shop was run by Mr. Hill, who sold milk, fruit, and simple snacks. He liked to talk about the weather. I also met Mrs. Green, who worked in the library. She loved books and said she hoped I would read to the children there one day. One evening, at the small cafe, I met Jack. He was the new postman in the village. He had short brown hair and a warm smile. He asked where I came from and why I moved here. I told him I wanted a simple life. He said he wanted the same. We talked for a short time, and I found him easy to talk to, but I did not want to think too much about him yet. I came to Willowbrook for work, and I wanted to focus on that first. As the days passed, I felt closer to my students. They told me small stories about home. Harry said he helped his father in the fields. Rose said she liked to pick flowers with her mother. Peter said he liked to draw animals. I wanted to help each of them grow in their own way. Sometimes they argued, sometimes they cried, but they also laughed, hugged each other, and held my hand when they wanted help. Each day I felt more connected to them. In the middle of the season, the village prepared for Harvest Day. It was a small festival in the square. People cooked food, played music, and sold handmade things. The school planned a simple show for the festival. My class learned a short song and made drawings of fields and trees. They were excited and talked about the event every day. On the day of the festival, the square was full of people. There were lights in the trees, tables with warm food, and children running around. My students stood in a line on a small stage. They looked proud, but also scared. When they sang their song, the crowd smiled and clapped. When they showed their drawings, parents took pictures. I felt happy and proud. It was the first time I felt truly part of Willowbrook. After the show, Jack walked up to me and said I did a good job. I thanked him and felt a small warmth in my heart, but I did not think much more about it. After the festival, the school welcomed a new student named Amy. She came from another town. She was quiet and did not talk much. She sat alone and looked down at her desk most of the time. The other children were curious about her but did not know how to talk to her. I tried to speak with her, but she answered with very few words. Some children whispered to each other because she was different from them. I worried about her and wanted to help her feel safe. I also faced new problems at school. Mr. Turner told me that the school did not have much money for new books and paper. I tried to use what we had in the best way. I made simple worksheets and reused old papers. The children tried to take care of the books, but sometimes they forgot. One afternoon, Peter and Harry argued about a book. They pulled it at the same time, and the pages tore. They were both shocked and quiet. I felt sad but stayed calm. I told them our books were important and we needed to treat them with care. They said sorry, and I fixed the book with tape, Outside of class, I learned more about the village people. Some welcomed me with open hearts. They invited me for tea or asked about my work. Some were unsure of me. One woman named Mrs. Carter told me I was too young to teach well. Her words hurt, but I stayed polite and said I would do my best. When I walked back to my room that evening, I felt tired and unsure of myself. But I told myself that learning takes time. As winter came, the weather became cold. My room felt cold at night, even with blankets. Sometimes I sat on the stairs because the bakery downstairs was warm. Mrs. Brown gave me soup and told me to rest. I thanked her and felt grateful to have someone who cared. Then the first snow fell. The children ran outside and tried to catch the snow with their hands. Their joy made me smile. Even when work was hard, moments like this made everything worth it. But one afternoon, something worrying happened. Amy left the classroom without telling anyone. When I called her name during reading time, her seat was empty. My heart beat fast, and I searched for her. I checked the hallway, the yard, and the small path by the gate. At last, I found her behind the shed near the garden. She sat on the ground with her arms around her legs. I sat beside her and asked why she left. She said she felt alone, and the other children did not talk to her. I felt sad for her. I told her I understood and that I would help her. She looked at me quietly, and this time she did not turn away. From that day, I worked harder to help her feel included. I paired her with Rose during reading. I asked Harry to sit next to her during art. Slowly, she talked more. She even smiled once. It was a small change, but it was real. And when I saw her walk with another girl during break, I knew our work was helping her. Before I continue rest of the story, please like, subscribe, share, and tell me where you are listening from. Your support means a lot to me. Now let's continue. Winter in Willowbrook was cold and slow. The days were short and the streets were quiet. I walked to school in a thick coat and my hands felt cold even in gloves. The children came to class with red noses and warm scarves. They talked about snowmen and warm soup at home. Even with the cold, they seemed full of energy. Their laughter helped me feel warm inside. Teaching in winter was harder than I expected. The children felt tired in the mornings, and some found it hard to focus. I had to speak slowly and repeat things more often. We read simple stories, learned small poems, and practiced writing short sentences. I tried to keep the lessons light so the children would not feel bored. Sometimes I drew pictures on the board to make them smile. Little by little, they learned new words and used them with more confidence. Amy slowly made progress too. She still spoke softly, but she no longer sat alone. Rose often sat close to her during group work. One boy named Ben asked to share his crayons with her. These small moments helped her feel safe. One morning she walked into class and said good morning to me first. It was the first time she did that. I smiled and said good morning back. It felt like a big step. While school life grew better, life outside school also changed for me. I saw Jack, the postman, more often. Some days he passed by the school and waved at me. Other days he came into the bakery when I bought bread. He always had something to say. He liked to talk about the weather or something funny he saw on his route. He was kind and calm, and he never spoke too much. I felt comfortable around him, even though we did not know each other well yet. One Saturday, I went to the library to return some books. Mrs. Green greeted me with her warm smile. She said the reading group would meet soon and invited me to join. I agreed. The group met every week to read short stories and talk about them. The group had 5 people, all from the village. They welcomed me kindly. We read a simple story that day. Everyone shared their thoughts. I felt relaxed and happy to be part of something. It made me feel less alone in the village. Snow fell often that winter. The white roofs and quiet streets made Willowbrook look peaceful. Some nights I sat at my window and watched the snow fall under the streetlight. I thought about my old life in the city, the noise, the traffic, the crowds. Here, everything felt slower. I liked the slow pace, but sometimes I missed my family and friends. When I felt lonely, I reminded myself that I came here to grow and learn, and I could see that I was changing little by little. One cold morning, a small problem happened at school. The heater in my classroom stopped working. The room felt very cold. The children rubbed their hands and looked uncomfortable. I told them to keep their coats on until the heater was fixed. Mr. Turner came to check the heater but could not fix it right away. So we moved to another room for the day. The new room was smaller and a little dark, but the children did their best to listen. I felt tired, but I stayed calm. I wanted them to feel safe. Near the end of winter, the school planned a simple winter play. The children were excited. They practiced lines and made small paper decorations. Amy wanted a small part in the play. It surprised me, but it made me happy. She practiced one short line many times. She wanted to say it clearly. On the day of the play, parents came to watch. The children stood on the small stage and did their best. When Amy said her line, she spoke softly but clearly. I smiled, and I saw her mother smile too. It was a proud moment for all of us. After the play, I stayed to clean the classroom. Jack stopped by the school with a delivery for Mr. Turner. When he saw me, he walked over and asked how the play went. I told him the children did well. He said he was not surprised because he thought I was a good teacher. I felt warm at his words, but I looked down because I did not know how to respond. He laughed gently and asked if I wanted to walk home with him. I said yes. We walked through the snow and talked about small things. It felt simple and comfortable. Spring slowly arrived and the weather became warm again. The snow melted and flowers grew in the fields. The children came to school with more energy. They ran outside during break, and their laughter filled the air. The classrooms also felt brighter. I opened the windows to let in fresh air. With spring came new challenges. The children grew curious and talked more in class. Some days they found it hard to sit still. I tried new activities. We did short reading groups. We took short walks around the school garden and talked about plants. We drew pictures of birds. These small things helped them focus. One day, Peter read a full story by himself. He held the book with both hands and read slowly but clearly. When he finished, he looked at me with a proud smile. I told him he did a great job. He stood taller after that. Seeing his progress gave me strength. I felt that my work mattered. Amy also changed more. She talked to Rose and another girl named Iris. They sat together during break and shared snacks. One afternoon, I saw them laugh together by the swings. Amy looked relaxed, and it made me glad. She still had quiet days, but she was no longer alone. Life in Willowbrook became easier for me, too. People in the village greeted me by name. Mrs. Brown gave me extra bread sometimes. Mr. Hill kept apples aside for me. Mrs. Carter, the woman who once doubted me, said I was doing better than she expected. Her words surprised me. They even made me feel proud. One warm afternoon, I walked by the river. The water was calm, and the sun made the surface shine. I sat on a small bench and watched birds fly over the water. Suddenly, I heard footsteps. It was Jack. He said he often walked by the river after work. We talked for a while. He asked how I liked the village. I said I liked it now. He smiled and said he was glad I came here. His voice was soft, and I felt close to him in that moment, but I did not say anything more. As the school year moved on, I felt stronger and more sure of myself. I learned how to speak clearly, how to stay patient, and how to help each child. The first months were hard, but now I could see how much I grew. My class felt like a small family. The village slowly felt like home. I did not know what the rest of the year would bring, but I felt ready to face it. Spring moved into summer, and the days in Willowbrook became warm and bright. The school year was close to the end, and the children talked about summer plans every day. Some wanted to visit grandparents. Some wanted to help on farms. Some just wanted to play outside all day. Their excitement filled the classroom with a happy sound. I felt different too. I no longer felt like a stranger in the village. I felt calm when I walked to school. I felt sure of myself when I stood in front of the class. I knew the children well. I knew their strong points and their weak points. I knew how to help them and how to guide them. Teaching finally felt natural, but new problems appeared too. Near the end of the year, the children argued more. They grew tired and restless. Small fights started for simple reasons. Rose cried one morning because she lost her pencil. Harry and Ben argued over a chair. Amy stayed quiet again for a few days, and I worried she was slipping back into her old habits. I reminded myself to stay patient. I spoke softly to the class and told them we needed to be kind. Slowly, the room calmed again. At the same time, I had to prepare for the final school event. The school wanted a small show at the end of the year. My class had to make simple drawings and read short lines on stage. The children practiced every day. Some read with confidence, some needed more time. I helped them one by one. I felt proud of their progress, even when they made mistakes. One afternoon, after practice, Amy stayed behind. She held a small drawing of a house and a garden. She asked if she could read a line during the show. I was surprised because she never asked for big parts in events. I told her yes, she could. She smiled and left the room. I stood still for a moment. Her smile was small, but it showed real trust. Outside school, my life also changed slowly. I saw Jack more often. Sometimes he walked with me after school. Sometimes we talked beside the river. He liked simple things. He liked birds, flowers, and quiet roads. I liked his calm way of speaking. I did not think about love or big plans. I only knew I felt safe when he was around. One warm evening, we walked near the river. The sun was low, and the water looked golden. Jack said he was glad I came to Willowbrook. He said the village was better with me here. I felt shy when he said that. I did not know what to answer, so I only said thank you. We walked in silence for a moment, but it was a comfortable silence. I knew our friendship was growing into something more, but slowly and gently. The last week of school arrived. The children were full of energy. They talked about the show and asked if they could bring their parents. I told them yes. They practiced their lines again and again. Some spoke very fast. Some spoke too softly. But I knew they would do well on the day. When the day of the show came, the schoolyard was full. Parents, grandparents, and neighbors came to watch. The children stood on the small stage. I stood at the side and watched them with hope. Harry read his line first. He spoke loudly and made the crowd smile. Rose showed her drawing of flowers. Her hands shook, but she stayed brave. Peter read a short story with slow, careful words. Then it was Amy's turn. She held her drawing close to her chest. She looked at the crowd, then at me. I nodded softly. She took a small breath and read her line. Her voice was clear. When she finished, people clapped. Her mother wiped a tear from her eye. Amy looked down but smiled. I felt proud of her in a way I could not put into words. After the show, parents thanked me. They said their children learned a lot this year. They said I was patient and kind. I felt happy and a little shy. I did not expect so much praise, but it warmed my heart. When the crowd left, Jack came to me and said the class did very well. He told me I did well too. I thanked him. Then he asked if I wanted to walk home with him. I said yes. That evening, as I walked beside him through the quiet village, I felt calm. I looked at the houses, the gardens, the small lights in the windows. I thought about my first day in Willowbrook and how scared I felt then. Now everything felt different. I learned how to teach. I learned how to listen. I learned how to stay patient. I helped children grow, and they helped me grow too. Willowbrook became my home, and I knew my first year as a teacher was only the beginning of my new life. Thank you for listening to this story. If you enjoyed this story, please like the video and subscribe